Let's bring in Nabila Ramdani now, a journalist and Middle East commentator. Hello, Nabila.
Hello, good morning.
Hi. Talking to Tabet there, it almost seems civilians in and around Damascus have had a respite then over these past few days while negotiations have gone ahead at the UN Security Council. What faith do you put in the aspect of just moving aside the chemical weapons issue, this secondary issue that was discussed at the UN, a potential peace conference that would take place in mid-November? Do you put any store in that?
Not really. I think, the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon described the deal early today as historic. We heard the UK Foreign Secretary Haig calling it a groundbreaking resolution, or indeed Obama and his team calling it a landmark decision. I think in reality this is mainly a diplomatic victory for Assad and indeed his historical ally Russia. The UN resolution failed to threaten automatic punitive action against the Syrian regime if it fails to comply to the UN resolution. For example, it completely removed the threat of intervention against Assad. There was also no mention of sanctions against the Syrian regime, let alone a referral to the International Criminal Court. And that, of course, would require a further resolution that Russia would likely veto. Effectively, what this UN resolution has achieved is to effectively remove any threat of intervention against Assad. There will be no discussion about his political departure anymore. And meanwhile, the killings, both with chemical and conventional weapons, are continuing. After the Ghouta atrocity on the 21st of August, where chemical weapons had been used, there were 3 further attacks involving chemical weapons. And yesterday only, there was a spectacular car bomb attack in the center of Damascus, with killings continuing unabated.
Yeah, and again, that's the argument about conventional versus chemical weapons, isn't it? And interestingly, the UN, amongst its resolutions last night, has not attributed blame, have they? They've not exactly attributed blame to the Assad regime or to the rebels for the chemical attack. But on the other hand, Nabila, Ban Ki-moon did say, didn't he, some weeks ago, that President Assad was a war criminal, and presumably at some point that will be pursued.
Well, one wonders when, the international community will formally criminalize the Assad regime. We're having this discussion about chemical weapons, but there's no denying the fact that 120,000 people or so have been killed since the beginning of the conflict 2.5 years ago. But also what is disappointing about last night's UN resolution is that there's no mention of the logistics involved in removing and indeed destroying Assad's chemical weapons. According to French intelligence, Syria has more than 1,000 tons of chemical agents, which is the largest stockpile in the Middle East or indeed around the world.
Well, yeah, but the resolution does say experts will get unfettered access, so hopefully everything will be found. Nabila, I must leave it there. Thank you very much indeed.